All right, Cabanistas, December 27th, 2024. It is cold outside, and we go to turn the kitchen tap on, kitchen sink tap. No water comes out. 12.2, I think the voltage is there. That tells me with no voltage drop, obviously the pump is not drawing any power. So we have to go investigate. In order to do that, we've got to access the hold. That's the area underneath the loo. And in order to access it, well, we've got to pull all this stuff out from under the bathroom sink. It's not that bad, but we want to do this in an orderly and workmanlike way because we just don't want to have to dodge all this stuff while we're going in and out of the house. It's going to be quite a process, especially if it requires a lot of pump troubleshooting. So we've got all the stuff removed, and now we need to open the hold. So we remove that piece of carpet, that rug, and we use our little drywall screw. That's a 3-inch drywall screw, and twist it right into the hole and give it a couple of turns with the screwdriver. I'm doing this left-handed. It takes more coordination than I have. And we'll pull this up. If you let that other piece of rug, carpet, just overlap a little bit like that, then you can pull it up and it'll hold the edge of that trap door so that you can just crank it right up there. It's pretty heavy, actually. So now we've accessed the hold, and we're going to do some temperature measurements down there using our IR thermometer. Very handy device for troubleshooting. Use this just about every day. And let's see what the temperature is down there. No, it's not too cold. It's not too cold. 38 degrees will not freeze water, so the pump is not frozen. I could pretty much conclusively determine that. So our next step is to go down into the hold, and we do have a nice light down here. And today it's not working. So actually we needed a new bulb there. It wasn't working right. So I replaced that bulb. I put a brighter bulb in there. That's a 7 watt. I put a 13 watt bulb in. So you get lots of light. And when I turned the light on and kind of looked at all of the hoses and fittings, just make sure everything's okay. I don't see any leaks. The wires look tight. Do some wire wiggles, of course. Always important. And everything looks like we've got good connections there. Use the temperature probe to check the temperature of the lines. Nothing is below 32 degrees, so nothing froze up. And the pump was probably close to 40 degrees, so it was good. You can see, there you go, 37.9. So that's not frozen. So that is not the problem. It is something else. I'm starting to suspect the pump. And we can look at our pressure gauge. We're right down to zero PSI. You can tap the pressure gauge, but we don't need to. Fortunately, I have a spare pump. It's out in the outhouse, and that's where it lives, the spare pump. And right nearby, we've got a whole collection of screwdrivers. We'll take this Phillips head screwdriver. We'll back out the drywall screws holding it in place. We'll take it in the house, and we'll warm it up because it's really cold out there. And you can see the other stuff that I have warming up there, the tape and the Teflon tape and the pipe dope. And I turned the oven on so I could warm up my work clothes. I took those out from the blue box in the woodshed shed, and they were way too cold for me to put on. So I just put them in the oven for a little bit and drive out the cold. And the next thing I'm going to do, since it is 40 degrees down in the hold, it's too cold for me to work. I always want to work comfortably, so I'm going to pull the little buddy out and put it down into the hold. And I will do that and warm up the hold. And that's going to warm up pretty quickly. Look at that little buddy going. And you can see we got a little bit of a water stain there. And look how hot that thing gets. It's like 900 degrees. But there's a stain underneath the pipe right under the toilet. So that tells me that there's a slight leak there, which I'm not going to mess with right now. And here's where I get the tape. We're a little out of sequence here, but that's okay. And that's where we get the pipe dope. This is all in the laundry shed. And this will show, because I'm out of sequence, that's where I got the pump in the outhouse. And now I'm checking the temperature down there. You can see it's 57 degrees, warming up nicely. And I'm looking to see where this leak is. This is the drain pipe, the big drain pipe under the toilet. I think what we've got is a wax seal that needs to be replaced. I'll do that when we get back from overseas. So again, I'm checking my connections. Those look good. We've got our voltmeter out and warmed up, by the way, and it's showing 0 right now. So I turned the switch off to the pump. I'm going to connect that voltmeter, and we'll see if we get any voltage down there. That's interesting. We're getting 0.2223 volts. Odd. I can't really explain that, but when I turn the switch on, I get 12.4. So we're getting plenty of voltage at the connector to the pump. So now what we do is we're going to test our replacement pump before we put it in. I've learned the hard way to do that. And so I connected it up. I turned the switch on and the pump didn't work. The pump's not working. It's unusual to have a bad spare. It happens, but very rarely. So I'm a little flummoxed here at this point. I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the 1/4 volt that shows up on the voltmeter. I think, is there a connection there, or am I missing something? I don't know. But when I flip the switch on, I get 12.5 volts, but it does not turn the spare pump. It just doesn't work. So now what? Well, I thought, what I'll do is I'll go out and I will get the pump. I'll cannibalize the pump from the outhouse, the one that we use for the garden. But strangely enough, the pressure gauge showed 20 psi before I did that. I was like, wait a minute. Why would the pressure gauge show 20 psi? So I'm thinking maybe it's the pressure switch. Took that apart. Went upstairs, turned the water on, and look at that. No, it didn't work. It didn't work. We're not getting any water. So we've got to replace the pump, and we look for an area where we would make that replacement. And those are the joints that I'm going to replace. And here's our power. I had to re-terminate the negative lead. I pulled the old pump out. You can see that. And there's the replacement pump. And I tested it and then installed it and connected it up. You can see the heat shrink tubing. That looks so nice. I do heat shrink connections now on all of my connectors. And everything is wired up, and I check to make sure we have tight connections. I go up top side, turn the switch on, and it worked. The replacement pump works. And now we will see that pressure rise. It takes a little while to go from 0 to 40 psi. Of course, you got to turn water on there, the water main, which I had turned off. If you don't turn that water main off, then it's just going to leak water when you're trying to do the job. Because it's an artesian well, it free flows. You know, our pressure switch is good. I sprayed some terminal contact cleaner on it, but really the contacts were fine. So I'm going to put that cover back on. Pretty easy. And then you can see that pressure building up now in the system, and it will shut off at 40 psi, which is coming up. So at this point, the pump will stop because that's the limit switch system pressure. The limit switch on the pressure switch there is set to 40 psi. And once it reaches that, then the pump will turn off. And we'll check for leaks, and we'll clean everything up, and we have done a pump replacement. One more thing, I ordered 2 replacement pumps from Amazon, so I can replace the one that'll run the garden hose, and then we'll also have that spare in case we need it. And that's it.